congressman and friend of mine, Alan West, has some questions also. By the way, we did ask the Labor Department to comment on all this. So far, crickets, sir. But, Colonel, talk to us about the timing. The timing, boy, it certainly feels political to me. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong whatsoever, Eric, and absolutely it is political, because it was just a couple of weeks ago, I sit on the Armed Services Committee here in the House, and we had a hearing with several leaders in the defense contracting industry, with Lockheed Martin, with EADS, and also Pratt Whitney, and they very simply said that we will have to follow the Workers Adjustment Retraining Notification Act, the WARN Act, which is a 1988 law, because as you just brought off in your initial segment, you could be opening yourselves up to lawsuits if you don't provide this warning. And I think that here again you see an Obama administration that is looking at what a Pentagon official talked about just about 2 or 3 days ago about the WARN Act and the fact that these notices will have to go out. Now they want to once again pick and choose which laws that they believe they have to adhere to. And this is nothing more than a politically motivated stance coming from the administration and from the Department of Labor.
Colonel, it sounds like they think they're going to get a deal together before the sequestration takes effect. Are you as confident as they are?
Well, I will tell you this. In the House of Representatives, we voted on a package that would stave off the sequestration for 1 year. It's sitting on the desk of Harry Reid, so I think that will let the American people know, and especially our men and women in uniform know, exactly who's trying to take action to stave off this sequestration. You know, the Department of Defense is only about 19.7% of the overall budget of the United States of America, but yet we're trying to put about 50 to 55%, a little more maybe, of the budget cuts on the Department of Defense at a time when the world is more volatile than I remember in the 22 years that I served active duty.
Sure, sir. And talk to me a little bit about what the $600 billion of defense cuts would mean to the military. You spent a fantastic 20-plus year career in the military. What would that mean to the military?
Well, first of all, let's set the stage. In the Budget Control Act of 2011, we all decided to take away $487 billion over the next 10 years from the Department of Defense, and we all agree with that. But now you're talking about taking the Department of Defense, our military, to the smallest ground force that we have had since 1940. That's the Army and the Marine Corps. The smallest Navy that we have had, fleet of naval ships, since 1915, and the smallest Air Force in the history of the modern United States Air Force. They will lose 9 tactical fighter squadrons. And so when you hear people look at all of the hot spots across the world and people asking us to get involved in Syria, with what, I would ask, as far as, you know, us looking at cutting back our military. And you continue to hear nothing from the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, which is President Obama, as far as what he is going to do to stave off this sequestration, which we have taken action in the House on.
Colonel, weigh in a little bit. President Obama had not visited Israel, had no policy on Israel attacking Iran, given what's going on in Iran with nuclear weapons. But when Governor Romney went over to Israel to meet with Bibi Netanyahu, somehow a leak came from the White House that there was a deal in place, or at least some talks in place, as to where the White House stands given an attack by Israel on Iran. What about the timing of that, sir?
Well, once again, it's politically motivated. You have an administration that is running everything by political polls or campaign promises, which is why we have the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in Syria in the first place, because American generals asked for a residual force to be in Iraq to put on the borders between Iraq and Iran and Syria and Iraq, and up with the Kurds, our strong ally. But now we saw a campaign promise. So here is a president has not gone to visit Israel whatsoever. He's been to Saudi Arabia, he's been to Egypt, he's been to Turkey. He gave these very glaring speeches. Now when Governor Mitt Romney goes to Israel, he releases these details coming from a closed-door meeting, which once again leads us to understand that it's all about the leaks if it can help them politically.
Sir, let me ask you this. We only have about 30, 45 seconds or so. If we do go into sequestration, we do have these massive military cuts. Do we have the assets in place to help Israel or to support an Israel attack on Iran?
No, you will not. If we go into sequestration, it's not just the effects that you're going to have in losing 200,000 men and women in uniform. We already talked about the loss of the capability and capacity, but it's also the loss about the technological advancement and the base you have coming from our Department of Defense industrial partners that we may not be able to catch back up to.
All right, Colonel, always a pleasure spending some time with you, sir.
Thanks, Eric.